Yo Kings, we're back. And this time, it's not just words. It's revelation. Not pickup lines, not fantasies, but raw, unapologetic psychology. Science and psychology forged from the fires of evolution. What you're about to hear isn't some fantasy whispered in locker rooms. It's the primal code written into her DNA. Women aren't mysteries. They're moving patterns of instinct, emotion, and survival. And when you see the pattern, you stop reacting and start leading. This isn't manipulation, it's understanding. Understand her, and you begin to understand yourself. You begin to see the layers of nature's design between the masculine and the feminine. These aren't gimmicks. These are 12 core truths, born from biology, proven by research, and lived by every high-value man who's mastered the silent game. The first thing you need to kill is the lie. The myth that only men think about sex. That men are the only visual creatures, the only ones with carnal hunger. It's a social cover-up. When scientists gave women tally counters to measure how often they thought about sex, they didn't click 6 times a day like they'd admit publicly. They clicked 19 every day. Because behind her polite smile, behind modesty and the good girl act, biology is roaring. She doesn't just feel desire, she fantasizes about it. Entire inner worlds, visual, emotional, sensual, where dominance and surrender exist in perfect rhythm. Her desire lives into the shadow of what she doesn't understand. Not what's explained, but what's elusive. That's why the moment you become too available, too obvious, too eager, her mind loses the chase. And when there's no chase, there's no craving. Desire doesn't feed on access, it feeds on anticipation. Predictability kills passion. But when she can't predict your next move, her imagination runs wild. She begins building fantasies around your silence, your restraint. Speak in riddles, not explanations. Let your presence confuse her, tempt her, awaken her subconscious curiosity. Be the itch she can't scratch, the page she can't stop rereading. Because when a woman is left to wonder, her desire simmers into obsession. Her sexuality isn't a straight line. It's a current, fluid, reactive, unpredictable. Men desire like fire, straightforward and singular. Women? Like water, adapting, bending, sensing. Evolution made it that way, for her own survival. She aligned with strength. She adjusted to danger. She adapted to thrive. And now, in modern times, her arousal still isn't linear. It's contextual. In one of the most eye-opening studies, Meredith Chivers showed women every form of erotic imagery, from men, women, even abstract visuals. Their bodies responded to almost all of it, not out of confusion, but because the feminine mind was built to respond to emotion, not just form, to energy, not just presence. She reacts to your stillness, your calm, your voice, your mystery, your ability to disrupt her expectations. If you think loyalty is guaranteed by repetition, think again. It's not chaos she wants. It's transformation. The feminine craves motion, not reckless, but refined. She wants the man who evolves in front of her eyes, who commands one day, comforts the next, whose thunder when needed and a whisper when the world gets too loud. Touch her like she's new every time. Speak to her soul, not like a script, but like an unfolding. Don't be the man who's always the same. Be the man who feels infinite in depth. She doesn't need you to become someone else. She needs you to become more of yourself, each time. Be the storm she runs from, and the ocean she never wants to leave. That's not confusion. That's contrast. And contrast is her drug. That's what stirs her soul. And yet, here's the contradiction. She's also drawn to familiarity, not because she wants predictability, but because it signals safety. Women are biologically wired to trust what they've already survived. That's why so many are drawn to men who remind them, subconsciously, of someone from their past. It's not the look, it's the rhythm, the posture, the energy. It feels familiar, safe, trusted. And trust is the gatekeeper to all things physical. That's why she can flirt with chaos, but she won't stay there. She stays where her nervous system relaxes, where she knows what tomorrow might feel like, even if she doesn't know what it will look like. Unpredictable men ignite her curiosity, but reliable men ignite her devotion. Be the man who listens, but never explains himself away. Be the stillness in a world that screams, the consistency she didn't know she needed. The man whose absence feels like silence in a room that used to echo. Because emotional intimacy, not dominance, is her deepest turn-on. The modern world wants you to believe that muscle, money, and status are what keeps her. They don't. They get her attention, sure, but they don't hold it. What holds her is the man who makes her feel understood. The man who sees the flicker in her eye when she's suppressing emotion. The tremor in her voice when she's hiding pain. The way she pretends not to care, even when she's breaking inside. That's where arousal is born. Not in your touch, but in how deeply she feels seen when you're near. When you hold emotional space without judgment, when your presence makes her feel unmasked, her body responds without resistance. That's why the most intimate connection doesn't begin with a kiss. It begins with listening. She opens not through force, but through trust. Her body surrenders not to strength, but to presence. And when she feels that presence, the physical follows like gravity. You become the space where she doesn't have to perform. The rare man who makes her feel like she can breathe and burn at the same time. You don't impress her with power. You seduce her with perception. You notice the silence between her sentences, the emotion behind her deflections. You tell her things no one else sees, her contradictions, her courage, her chaos, and you admire it. That's not softness, that's psychological dominance. And most men will never access that level of influence, because they try to conquer her body, but ignore her soul. And the man who touches both, he owns her memory. She'll forget faces, she'll forget compliments, but she'll never forget how it felt to be emotionally naked in front of you, and still safe. She'll test that safety, not because she's cruel, but because it's how her biology verifies strength. When she pulls back, when she challenges your calm, she's not playing games, she's asking ancient questions. Are you stable? Are you strong? Are you leading your emotions, or are they leading you? That's not manipulation, that's nature. Her tests are filters, instinctive rituals to weed out the weak, the impulsive, the fragile. Not the ones who can lift, but the ones who can endure. And if you crumble, react, beg, or rage, you've answered her. Not with words, but with instability. But when you stay composed, when you smile, tease, and don't chase, you pass a test she doesn't even know she's giving. You show her that your power isn't volume, it's presence. That your masculinity isn't aggression, it's depth. You don't mirror her chaos. You hold your ground with playful calm. And in that stillness, she feels peace. Her body stops defending. Her heart stops doubting. Her mind stops scanning for danger. Because she's found it. The anchor she never knew she needed. Kindness means nothing without strength behind it. That's the mistake most modern men make. They've been sold the illusion that politeness is enough. That if you're soft, gentle, and agreeable, she'll love you. But kindness without power is invisible. It's not respect. It's background noise. Women aren't turned off by compassion. They crave it, but only when it's wrapped in steel. She wants the man who opens the door for her, but could shut the world down if necessary. who speaks with care but radiates dominance beneath the silence. That's not a contradiction. That's the duality of feminine desire. Softness backed by strength, warmth protected by danger, authority cloaked in calm. This is why nice guys finish last, not because they're kind, but because they're harmless. And harmlessness signals weakness. She wants to feel safe, but she also wants to feel something stir beneath that safety. A fire that's controlled, but present. She doesn't want to tame you. She wants to trust that you've already tamed yourself, that you've mastered your aggression, not buried it, that you could destroy, but choose not to. Because that choice, that discipline, that restraint, it's what makes you unforgettable. A beautiful woman is not shallow for expecting more. Evolution made her selective. It wasn't vanity, it was survival. For thousands of years, the women who chose poorly vanished. Their lineage died out. The ones who chose well, who picked strength, vision, capability, they passed on their genes. Beauty was never just decoration. It was a filter, a test to see who could rise. The more beautiful she is, the higher her standards will be. That's not arrogance. That's biology. And most men resent it instead of rising to meet it. So rise. Build your body not just for admiration, but for embodiment, for the feeling of power in your veins. Build your wealth not to impress her, but to create gravity. To show you can hold space, build legacy, make order out of chaos. Sharpen your voice so when you speak, she listens, not because you're loud, but because you're clear, because you believe what you're saying. The high-value woman isn't rejecting you. She's challenging you. She's showing you who you could become. If you're offended, you're not ready. If you're inspired, you're already rising. Hypergamy isn't the enemy. It's the invitation. It's nature's way of forcing men to grow, of forcing you to evolve into something undeniable. You don't have to chase her. You have to become the man she instinctively seeks, the one who doesn't ask for respect, but commands it without speaking, who walks into a room and doesn't just take up space. He owns the air, not through volume, through energy, through certainty, through vision. And if you understand biology, you'll understand her shifts. You'll see that even her attraction has rhythm. During ovulation, she wants masculinity in its rawest form: strength, leadership, boldness, sexual energy. Her body is looking for legacy. But after that window passes, she wants something else entirely. She's now searching for safety, emotional warmth, and trust. And if you don't know how to adapt, she'll think you're disconnected. The fire that drew her in will feel misplaced. The energy she craved yesterday will feel like pressure today. But the high-value man knows how to flow. He knows how to lead when it's time to lead, and how to listen when the moment calls for softness. He doesn't abandon his core. He amplifies the trait that matches her moment. He doesn't fight her cycle. He flows with it. He reads her cues, not with desperation, but with mastery. He's bold when her desire wants dominance, and he's gentle when her body asks for trust. That's not being fake. That's being fluent. Fluent in feminine nature. And that fluency gives him what other men never touch: longevity. The kind of presence that lingers. The kind of man she keeps thinking about when the room is quiet and her guard is down. Because he knew when to stir her imagination and when to cradle her spirit. He didn't become someone else. He became everything she didn't know she needed. That's where emotional intelligence becomes your superpower. The ability to understand emotion, not just control it. The ability to feel deeply without being owned by the feeling. That's what separates leaders from followers. Most men ignore her feelings. Others try to fix them. But the rare man, the one she remembers, he does something different. He feels with her. He doesn't rush to solve. He validates. He listens like he's reading scripture. He mirrors her humanity, not with words, but with awareness. And in that awareness, trust is born. She doesn't need solutions, she needs space. She doesn't want you to fix her chaos. She wants you to stand still while she unravels. And when you do that, when you breathe through her storm without flinching, you become the one place she feels safe, showing everything. And once she feels emotionally naked with you, the physical guard drops by itself. That's the paradox. You don't get her body by conquering her. You get it by knowing her. And knowing her means paying attention to the things no one else sees. Her contradictions, her hidden strength, the courage she wears behind her sarcasm, the beauty in her chaos, the elegance in her complexity. Most men are terrified of that complexity. You admire it. You don't fear the fire. You dance with it. You study it. You worship the flame not because it obeys, but because it burns. And that's how you become irreplaceable. That's how you access a part of her that few men ever reach. Because you're not chasing the surface. You're meeting her at depth. And that depth? It's what builds bonds that time can't erode. That's what keeps you in her mind long after others fade. But all of it starts with emotional self-control. You can't lead her emotion until you study your own. And that's why her tests will never stop, until you stop reacting. Her mind wants to know, can he hold himself when I can't? And the moment you pass that test, not with performance, but with presence, she relaxes. Her mind stops scanning for danger. Her body stops resisting. Her heart opens not out of obedience, but out of recognition. She recognizes safety. She recognizes home. She'll never use the word emotional intelligence, but her body will know it when she feels it. Her eyes will linger longer, her voice will soften, her defenses will slip, and she'll move closer without even realizing why. And if you've mastered your emotional presence, she'll never forget what it felt like to be near you. Not because you were perfect, but because you made her feel perfectly understood. Similarity is the thread that weaves this all together. People talk about opposites attracting, and that may spark interest, but it doesn't sustain love. What sustains is resonance, shared values, shared rhythm, a mirrored energy. When two souls align in vibration, there's no need to explain. It just flows. You finish each other's thoughts. You feel each other's moods, not because you've studied each other, but because you're tuned to the same frequency. Science has proven it. The strongest relationships aren't between extremes. They're between energies that echo, that reflect, that recognize. It's not about finding someone completely different. It's about finding someone who feels like home. Not because they complete you, but because they reflect what's already whole inside of you. That's why deep love doesn't feel like discovery. It feels like remembering, like you've known this person for lifetimes, like you've come home to something you didn't even know you were missing. That's not magic. That's alignment. And alignment lasts longer than novelty, longer than attraction, longer than time. It becomes foundation. The wise man doesn't chase opposites for thrill. He cultivates resonance. He refines himself until the right woman sees him and feels the pull, not just to his body, but to his essence. Because when energy aligns, love doesn't have to be explained. It just is. Before she ever hears your voice or feels your touch, she smells you. And scent, primal, ancient, invisible, is the forgotten language of attraction. Long before humans could speak, our bodies were already fluent in chemistry. Not cologne, not artificial fragrance, but raw biological pheromones, signals that tell her nervous system whether you're aligned or foreign. If your scent is too close to her own, her body feels nothing, too different, and her instincts pull away. But when it's right, when it whispers subtle dominance and deep masculine calm, Her body reacts before her mind ever understands why. Her heart rate shifts. Her focus sharpens. Her memory imprints you without effort. You become a signature scent in her subconscious. Not a spray, not a product, but presence. This is not about bathing in synthetic confidence. It's about becoming the man whose natural energy speaks through his skin. Clean, strong, confident, grounded. The man whose scent says without a single word, I am safe, I am capable, I am him. And that scent lingers longer than voice, longer than touch. It becomes a part of her memory that no one else can erase. Because her body doesn't need permission to remember what it felt. It already has. Attraction isn't logical. It never was. It's biological. And one of the strongest codes ever written into the feminine mind is hypergamy, the desire to pair with the highest value man available. Not for shallow reasons, but for ancient ones. For survival. For legacy. For safety in a world that once devoured the weak. Her hypergamy doesn't make her evil. It makes her efficient, selective, designed to filter through weakness and stop only when she finds power laced with peace. That's what she's looking for, even when she doesn't realize it. She's not testing your wallet. She's testing your direction. She wants to feel that you're going somewhere, building something, becoming someone. She wants to admire you, not worship, not obey, but admire. Because admiration is the seed of loyalty in the feminine. And that admiration doesn't come from money. It comes from clarity, from vision, from the way you walk into chaos without blinking, from the way you carry pressure like gravity bends around you. That's when she sees what words can't teach, that you are rare, that you are real. And when she sees that, when she senses a man whose strength is silent and whose presence calms storms, hypergamy becomes a gift, not a threat. She gives freely, attention, affection, devotion, not out of fear, not out of obligation, but because her instincts have confirmed, this man, this one is worthy, not of perfection, but of evolution, because you are rising, you are unshakable, you are whole. Everything you've been told about seduction has been backwards. It was never about lines or techniques. It was never about pretending to be alpha or faking power. It was about alignment, about being the man whose energy, words, scent, vision, and silence all say the same thing. I am enough. I am in control. I am not chasing. I attract. Because women feel truth. Not the truth you speak, but the truth you live. They feel the dissonance when a man talks strong and lives weak. And they feel the pull when a man doesn't talk at all, yet still owns the room. 12 secrets, 12 invisible truths. Not for performance, not for manipulation, but for mastery. These are not just lessons about her. They're mirrors, because in learning her nature, you discover your own. You realize how much of your life has been spent chasing approval, not power. How many moments you diluted your energy to be liked. How many times you betrayed your instincts just to stay safe. But the man who masters himself needs no permission. He moves through the world with a gravity that bends situations around his presence. He doesn't wait to be chosen. He chooses himself. The final secret is the twist that changes everything. It was never about understanding her. That was just the bait. The real game, the one that very few ever play to win, is understanding you. Because when you understand you, her reactions no longer confuse you. Her emotions no longer shake you. Her tests no longer trigger you. You stop seeing her behavior as threats and start seeing them as invitations to rise higher. And every time you choose mastery over reactivity, you become harder to ignore, harder to forget, harder to replace. Because attention is cheap. Anyone can get it. But presence, that's rare. Presence cannot be bought, taught, or faked. It can only be cultivated through discipline, reflection, and ruthless self-respect. That's what she craves. Not applause, not drama, but presence. The feeling of being next to a man who is so sure of himself that nothing outside of him shakes his core. That's the man she dreams of. That's the man who haunts her thoughts long after he's gone. And here's the challenge. Most men want this, but they refuse to become it. They look for shortcuts, for scripts, for tricks. But what she's responding to isn't surface. It's depth. She's responding to your invisible posture, your emotional weight, your internal order. So build that, sharpen that, discipline that. Stop waiting to be chosen and become so undeniable that choosing you becomes instinct. And when you get there, when your energy becomes aligned, when your presence speaks louder than any word ever could, something powerful happens. You stop chasing women, and they start remembering you. Not because you performed, but because you embodied. You became what every man talks about, but almost none live. You became the one who doesn't break when tested, the one who doesn't flinch when challenged, the one whose silence commands more desire than another man's shouting. She doesn't want you to be louder. She wants you to be clearer. She wants your mission, your certainty, your edge. She wants the man who has no fear of being alone because he is already whole. She wants the man who chooses her, not from lack, but from sovereignty. And when you meet her from that place, not needing, not proving, but offering, she melts, she softens, she leans in. Because the chase isn't about pulling her toward you. It's about becoming the gravitational force she can't pull away from. So ask yourself now, not what you need to say to her, but who you need to become for her to crave your silence more than another man's attention. Who you need to become for her to feel seen, understood, and safe with just your glance. Who you need to become for her to stop searching, because she already found everything in you. This is the truth most men will never understand, because they're too busy performing, too distracted chasing, too scared to look inward. But you're not most men. You've made it here. You've heard the codes. You've seen behind the curtain. And now, there's no going back, because you no longer need her to validate your power. You are the source of it, and when that becomes your truth, not your tactic, but your truth, she'll feel it, she'll trust it, and she'll never forget it. The question isn't if women want you. The question is, are you ready to become the man they instinctively respect, desire, and remember forever? Type your answer below. Pick one truth from everything you've heard, write it in one line, and make it yours. This isn't for me, it's for you, for your own evolution, for your own transformation. The world doesn't need more men chasing, it needs more men becoming. So rise, King, the game has just begun.